Let's review integer and arithmetic. Let's look at how we deal with adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers. Starting off with minus 5 plus 9. When you see those brackets, most times we can take away the brackets and just pay attention to the sign that's in front of the number. So this is a minus 5, for instance. Whenever you don't see any specific sign in front of a number like this 9, think of that as just being a positive 9. So that's a minus 5 and that's a positive 9. So really we're looking at minus 5 plus 9. One way I like to teach it is to think of this as being like the bank. Think of this minus 5 as you owing $5 to the bank. So when you go into the bank manager tells you that you owe them $5. Whenever you see a plus sign, it means that you're putting money into the bank. So if you started off owing $5 and then you went ahead and put in, that's what the plus sign here means, $9. It means that you've paid off the amount that you owe them because you only owe them $5. But with that $9, you will now have $4 in the bank. That's one way I want you to look at when you're dealing with addition and subtraction. Here's another example. Minus 5 plus minus 2. Now, when you remove the brackets in front of this, it's still going to be a minus 5. But whenever you see plus minus like this, I always want you to replace a plus minus with just simply a minus. And that's exactly what you see me doing on this line here. So this becomes minus 5 minus 2. And then really you're starting off owing the bank $5. That's what this means. And you're going in and taking out 2 more. It's not a plus, you're minusing 2. So you're minusing 2 more dollars where you already owe them 5. So now you have a bigger bill, a bigger debt of $7. So it's now minus 7. You can think of it that way. Here's how I want you to look at this question. Again, the plus minus becomes a minus. So this plus minus 8 becomes minus 8. The plus minus here becomes a minus 4. So you're looking at 7 minus 8 minus 4. Here's what I want you to do next. Put all your positives together. The only positive here was the positive 7. So that's plus 7 here. And then this is a minus 8 and that's a minus 4. So put the positive 7, put these two negatives together. So it's minus 8 and minus 4, which of course gives you minus 12. So now you're looking at 7 minus 12. And that means that you have $7 in the bank. You're going to take out $12. You're minusing $12, but of course you didn't have $12. You only had 7. It was a positive 7, so you had 7. If you take out 12, it means you're going to owe the bank $5 at the end of that transaction. So there you go. That's why the answer is minus 5. Here's another example. Minus 3 plus minus 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus minus 5. Change the plus minus to a minus, as we said before. That's just simply going to be plus 4. This is going to be plus 8. The plus minus here again gives you a minus 5. Because remember, anytime you have a plus minus, change it to just a minus. Let's put all the minuses together. That's a minus 3, that's a minus 4, that's a minus 5. If you put all of those minuses, that's minus 12, 3, 4, and 5. All those minuses together combine to give you a minus 12. That's what this is here. The two positives, the 8 and the 4, that adds up to give you a positive 12. So 12 minus 12, of course, gives you 0. Let's try this one over here. 7 plus minus 10. Well, we know how that works. It's 7 minus 10. So that's just simply $7 in the bank. You take out 10, leaving you with minus 3. Over here, we have minus 2 plus minus 3 plus 7. So the plus minus becomes a minus. This plus 7 is just simply plus 7. So now we have minus 2, minus 3, and plus 7. I'm going to put all my minuses together. Here by 2 minuses. That's minus 2 and minus 3. That is where this minus 5 comes from. Then we still have the plus 7. There's no other no other positives to put with that 7. So leave that as 7. So it's just simply 7 and the minus 5. Well, 7 minus 5, I have $7 in the bank. I go and take out 5. I'm minusing 5. So I'm left with $2. Next example, minus 2 plus minus 19 plus 24. This becomes minus. That stays as plus. The plus minus, remember, becomes minus. So it's minus 2 minus 19 plus 24. Well, put the 24, which is a positive, there in the front, and then add these two negatives together. So it's minus 2 and minus 19, which gives you minus 21. Just put all your negatives together. That's the best way to do it. So minus 2 and minus 19 gives me minus 21. So it's a positive 24 minus 21 gives you 3. Again, $24 in the bank, you take out 21, you're left with 3. Last example on this page. Minus 3 plus minus 10 plus 8 plus 1 plus minus 2 plus 6. So this plus minus because it gives me minus 10. The plus 8 is still plus 8. The plus 1 is still plus 1. The plus minus 2 becomes minus 2. And the plus 6 is a plus 6. Let's add all the positives together. Here's the 6. Here's the 1. Here's the 8. Those are all positives. So 8 plus 1 is 9 plus 6 is 15. There's my 15. Put all the negatives together. Minus 3, minus 10, and minus 2. So that's minus, let's see, minus 13. And then minus 2, of course, is minus 15. So 15 minus 15 is, of course, 0. Let's move on. So on this slide, we're going to be looking at subtracting this time. So what happens is that when you subtract a negative, so minus negative 9, that actually ends up becoming a plus. So on this next line, you'll notice I have 5 plus 9. And of course, 5 plus 9 is 14. Over here, it's just simply 7 minus 9. And think about the bank again, where you started off with $7. You go in and you ask the bank manager, can I take out $9? Well, you didn't actually have $9. You only had 7. So it means that you're going to end up owing them $2. That's why the answer is minus 2 here. Look at the next one. Remember we just said minus negative becomes a plus. So it becomes minus 2 plus 6. So think of it, you started off owing $2. You added in, because that's what this means. You're putting in $6. But you only owe 2. So that means that you're going to have money in the bank. You now have $4 in the bank. So that's why minus 6 plus 6, minus 2 plus 6 is equal to 4. Over here, it's minus 5 minus 6. So here we go. Minus 5 minus 6. You started off owing $5. You went and took out. That's what minus means. You're taking money out. You owed 5. You take out 6 more. You're going to owe even more. So you're now down to minus 11. Okay. Minus 10 minus minus 3 means minus 10 plus 3. The minus minus again, remember, becomes a plus 3. So it's minus 10 plus 3. And minus 10 again. You owe 10. You put in 3 because that's what the plus means. So if you owed 10 and you put in 3, you haven't paid off that $10 yet. You've only paid off 3 of that 10 that you owed. So you still owe $7. That's why it's minus 7. Over here you have minus 9, minus 12, minus negative 2. So again, replace the minus minus with a plus. So really what you have is minus 9, minus 12, and plus 2. Put the two negatives together. That's a minus 9, that's a minus 12. Put those two together and get minus 21. So it's minus 21. Then you have the 2. There's only one positive here, and that's 2. So here's what you have. You owe $21, and you only have $2 to put in. That means you're going to owe a bunch of money still, but you're owing less because you were to put $2 in, so you owe 19. So that's why it's minus 19. Okay, let's break this one down. We have minus 30, minus negative 6, minus 8, minus negative 2. Replace the minus negative with a plus. There's your plus sign. Replace this minus negative with another plus. So there's your plus 2. So it's minus 30 plus 6 minus 8 plus 2. Okay, all the positives go together, all the negatives go together. The only positives here are 2 and 6 because they have plus signs in front of them. If you have no signs or a plus sign, it's a plus, it's a positive. So that's plus 6 and plus 2, so that's plus 8. This is negative, that's also negative. So that's minus 30 and minus 8. Put them together, minus 38. So it's 8, positive 8, minus 38. Think again. You had $8 in the bank, you took out 38. You didn't have 38, but you needed 38. So because you had 8, you're still going to owe minus 30. So that's why it's minus 30 over here. Last question on this page. So you have minus 2, minus 4, minus 5, minus negative, which of course becomes plus. So these three are your negatives. Put them all together. So minus 2, minus 4, minus 5, that's a big minus 11. And you still have that plus 2 there. So you owed 11, you put in 2, you still owe 9. So there's your minus 9. Last slide, we're going to look at multiplication and division. And the simple rule here is that when you're multiplying, if you have an even number of negatives, then your answer is actually going to be positive. If you have an odd number of negatives, then your answer is going to be negative. So we're just going to think of this as being 2 and 3. You're multiplying 2 and 3, which of course is 6. The question is, should that be a positive 6 or a negative 6? But I have here 2 negatives, and that's an even number. So because I have 2 negatives, it means that my answer becomes positive. Look at this one. I have a negative and a positive. Now, the answer, of course, is 10 because of the fact that 2 times 5 is 10, but it's negative because I have 1 negative. Remember, an odd number of negatives gives you an answer which is negative. Over here, I have 3 numbers, 2 times 3 times 4. Well, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 4 is 24. There's a 24. But you need to count the number of negatives. There are 2 negatives here. That's an even number. So the answer is still positive 24. Over here, I have minus 20 divided by 4. I'm dividing. So 20 divided by 4, of course, is 5. Is it positive or negative? Well, there's only 1 negative, which is an odd number. So the answer is minus 5. Over here, I'm multiplying and dividing. So I'm multiplying 10 times 4, then I'm dividing by 2. So 10 times 4 is 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20. So my answer is 20. But is it positive or negative? I have 2 negatives. That's an even number. So my answer is going to be positive. Now, look at this one. It has exponents in it. So that means that the number of negatives, you have to be able to look at how many negatives you have and pay attention to the exponents. You have 2 negatives here because that says minus 3 to the power of 2. So that means you really have 2 negatives. So there is 1 negative here, 2 negatives here, and another negative over here. So that's 2 plus 1 plus 1. So that's 4 negatives in all. And you can kind of see that down here because I've written it out as minus 3 times minus 3. That's what minus 3 squared means. And minus 2 and minus 1 is also there. So there are 4 negatives here in all. So my answer is going to be positive. And of course, 2 times 3 times 3 times 1 is 18. So that's positive 18. Over here, I have minus 5 squared, so that's 2 negatives. Remember, I'm raising it to the power of 2, so that's that negative in front of the 5 is going to be counted twice. So that's minus 5 times minus 5, which is positive 25. Last question. This minus 5 is being raised to the power of 3. That's 3 negatives, which is an odd number. So it's minus 5 times minus 5 times minus 5. And that, of course, is 125, but with a negative because it is an odd number of negatives.